I'll decide what I need.
Hi, this is Richard Simmons, and you're listening to Western New York Radio!
I'm Brian Quinn. I play guitar in the band Old Pound.
And you guys are playing at the Great American Smokeout today at Broadway Joe's.
Oh, yeah.
When are you going up?
We're going to be next, coming up in about 45 minutes or so. And we've got all instrumentals. I play electric guitar. We got an electric viola, bass and drums. And can't wait, man. It's a great crowd, beautiful weather. Everybody's in a great mood. You can't beat it, man. That's what it's all about.
Cool. Anything recorded on CD?
Yeah, we just did a 6-track recording. We've been recording at GCR Audio under the supervision of Justin Rose, our engineer. And that's available online. You can look us up anywhere, Old Pound, OULD Pound. And yeah, it's where it's at for us.
Any hard copy CD?
We do. Yeah, we make a few pressings here and there.
SoundCloud or anything like that?
Yeah, we do SoundCloud. We do all the iTunes and CD Baby. Yeah, all the major,
So that's
sites.
That's coming out soon.
It's out right now.
It is great.
Yeah,
How many tracks on that?
That's 6 of our latest, and we've written a few good ones since then that we're gonna be introducing tonight. So
Then you go back in and record those in the future.
Yeah, that's the plan for us.
What's the title on the CD out now? Is there a title?
Loosely we call it OP6.
Keep on tracking.
Keep on tracking.
Cool, man. Good. I hope to hear you.
Excellent.
Have a great show.
Appreciate it.
And now, a public service announcement from Noah Goki.
The Rihanna show is especially dangerous.
Oh, God, yeah.
You could be hit with a microphone, a cell phone, anything that ends in phone, you could be hit with.
Yeah.
Megaphone.
Or Chris Brown will come out and beat the shit out of you, something like that.
Xylophone.
Xylophone. Dictaphone. Gramophone.
Shoot down all your shits now. Radio, all your friends. The war is on again. Shoot down, Shoot the lights out, make it won't see us now. Under cover of darkness, when they won't find us again. Shoot out, shoot out, shoot out, the mountain glaciers with Jordan. Scattering through the time I say, hold on, step down again, pick it back up just a minute. Hold on, step down again, pick it back up, you'll never win. You'll
Hey guys, this is Azim from Submarine Revolution, and you're listening to All West New York Radio.
Yes, indeed. Got the beach look today. I love the new Google Plus. The ability that it gives us to have a crazy mask on me here at the beach. I've got echoes going on my voice. This is crazy. Couple of quick adjustments. All right, welcome to Noah in the Morning. Thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We are live here at the All Western New York Radio broadcast studios in lovely and palatial Buffalo, New York. Don't be confused by my goggles and snorkel. This is just another wonderful thing about Google. Of course, you're listening on the radio. This makes no sense, and I sound like a crazy person. But if you look on the YouTube, I have these amazing goggles, and I'm at the beach. I like it. Welcome to the show. We've got so much to do today. We have the lovely and talented Aneya Marie here in studio. Say hello to the good people.
Hola.
Make sure you get right up into that microphone. Make friends with it.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Absolutely.
Good.
Aneya's here. We're going to talk about just a whole variety of things, from Mime, America's Got Talent, Charles Dickens. This is why I'm calling Aneya the most interesting woman in Western New York.
Yeah.
She doesn't always do mime, but when she does, she sings. That's right. We're going to get the Skype up. You can give us a call here at the show anytime at 716-402-4218. There we go. There's the Skyper. So you can call with your questions for Aneya, or anything else that you happen to be thinking of on this lovely Tuesday morn there in palatial Buffalo.
Let your thoughts out there.
That's right. Now, Aneya, you have a long and distinguished career here as a mime, which we're going to get into.
Yeah.
From Xfactor and America's Got Talent to touring Europe. But I thought we'd just get started with, talking about mime a little bit. It's sort of a lost art in this day and age. How did you get involved with it?
Well, it was an elective at the University at Buffalo. At the time, I was studying communication as my major, but I had a theater understudy for my minor.
Okay.
And mime and movement is one of the higher classes that you take, more advanced class, in the fact that, you just take it as your last credit before, usually juniors and seniors take it. But I was a senior at the time, and this was back in 2011. I started mime, and I haven't stopped. Once I took the course, it really connected me with my own body, and I was able to understand the space around me more, the projections that I make with my body, language, and so much more. So
now, you have a background in nonverbal communication. Is that what drew you to miming?
Yeah, well, I've always loved theater. I was afraid to really study it as a major because everyone had always told me I would be poor, and it isn't a lot.
Much like being a musician.
Yeah.
Oh, we love it. We support you. That's so great. You will be poor.
You will be poor. But I'm really not. It's so enriching, and it's really fed my soul. And just to be able to express actual words through my body is really liberating. I'm able to sit and just reconstruct my whole language process.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I did, when I was a major at UB for communication, I was taking nonverbal communication as a first class into secondary class, and I even went to the third phase of nonverbal communication. So I studied it in a social standard on an individual, and then just in a normal basic aspect. So that really was kind of why I took mime as the elective. I didn't have to take mime. I could have done another movement course or an advanced theater course, but I wanted to understand the nonverbal much more than what I had already read about. I had to actually physically feel it and act it and figure it out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you do is essentially not really true mime, because there is some singing involved. It's more of just a performance art, kind of a unique thing that you've did you invent this, or is this?
No, actually, David Bowie was one of the first singing mimes.
David Bowie.
David Bowie, yes. He was a mime back in '78. He was 17 years old up until he was 23, traveled with Lindsay Kemp.
Wow.
And that was a musical theater company that incorporated mime and movement and theater. And really, actually, Lindsay Kemp, I think, is one of the original singing mimes. And he has this really famous piece called The Last Dance of Elizabeth. And he was the queen at the time, and she was the mime of the show, and everyone else sang around her and danced. And right at the end, she had her monologue and her epic song that explained the whole situation and how she rose to power. And it was really an amazing musical piece.
Wow.
But yeah.
It makes sense because Bowie's, definitely a performance artist.
Yes.
And a guy who he mastered how to kind of come through and engage an audience without saying a word, just through his costume design and his flair,
Oh yeah. And you can see a lot of that clownism and theatrics really embedded into everything. His fashion, his makeup,
sure,
his hair in the labyrinth. But yeah, I wasn't really the first one to sing, but in mime at UB, my professor is Vincent O'Neill. He owns the Irish Classical Theater
sure.
downtown. It's holding some shows right now, so definitely go down and check it out. But he studied under Marcel Marceau. So one of the very first French mimes, really distinguished. He wasn't the first. Etienne de Croix was Marcel's teacher. But there's so many different theories and so many different, I guess, I don't even know where to start with mime. Just start at the beginning.
Well, Marcel, definitely one of the first name in mime, if there could be a first name in mime.
Yeah, well, first world name. He was the one, in 1955, he did a world tour.
Right.
So Marcel did this world tour, and he pretty much showed most, at least America, this side. Europe knew mime a lot. It developed out of Greece, went in through Italy as a movement theater, and then broke off into all these different areas. But in France, Marcel pretty much studied under Etienne de Croix, who was a theorist in mime. So he invented all the illusions, like the moonwalk and climbing a ladder, being stuck in a box. The reason why those things can be visually seen by other people, even though they're invisible, is due to the techniques that he created. Now, Marcel Marceau took it to a different aspect and did narrative tale with it,
right,
which is why he did street performance.
Okay.
So really, most people saw mime for the first time a lot on the street, and mime it was mostly an individual expression. It wasn't in a company at that time. So Marcel was that man who really traveled all over, and in 1955 he came to America, and that's why America really kind of believes that mime is French and silent, because mime isn't originally a silent art form. Mime is the evolution of pantomime, which is pantomimos in Greek, panto meaning all, mimos meaning imitator.
Okay.
So we imitate life, and sound's a part of life. So I can go to a door and knock on it and make the sound of that door knocking, because other than that, you're thinking punching the air. Or I could see a bird in the air and follow it with my head, but if I don't make the sound, you're just going to think I'm having a seizure. So really, mimes aren't silent, and that's the common misconception of miming, because I just create illusions. I just put something there that's invisible, but the imagination of the viewer is really what makes mime magical. They're the ones who can see the wall, whether it's a brick wall or a copper wall or a wooden wall.
So your art is not the cliched kind of white-faced mime that people think of who comes out with the striped shirt and is trapped in the box. Yours is very much a living art.
It is. It's an exploration. So mime is a lot about space and dimension. I build that space. I give air texture so that it can create dimensions and optical illusions and things like that. So yeah, it's really a play just on your surroundings.
Sure.
But you have to explore that. You have to be able to go upside down, be sideways, be silent, be loud, be everything, because your space will, you have to project the images within your space of whatever your imaginary world is. For me, I like to make a lot of money. So I just pull out those mime dollar bills and show people how to tip the street performer.
That's right.
And I think that's the other death of mime, too, the street performer.
Really?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
They turn it into a cliche.
Well, it's not a cliche so much as it's just really hard because I'm silent. So I can't get your attention by saying, hey, look at me, I'm awesome. I have to watch you or just be on the street in a busy city watching people go by. They're busy trying to go to work. I have 30 seconds to get your attention.
Right.
To entertain you enough to have you reach into your pocket and grab 50 cents or whatever's in it to give to me. So really, on the street, there's so much going on, too, like noise and other people going to work and other street performers and
there's
things
traffic,
like that.
there's a crazy guy yelling down the street. I totally get it. I do a lot of street performing myself, just as a musician. Just do busking on the street because I think it's an incredible test of your performance ability because, just like you said, you have 10 or 15 seconds to, impress the person walking by. That's all they're going to see of your performance. Take any performance, cut 10 seconds out of it, and that's got to be good enough. So you better be solid through the whole time.
Yes, and to be honest, it's so hard to explain, 6.5 years of work in 10 seconds, 30 seconds. And on the street, don't get me wrong, I do a ton of street performance, and it's a lot of fun. It's great improv work for me because a lot of people will say, oh, climb a ladder, or get in a box, or the cliche things that
they
you
want
would
to see the classics.
They do want to see the classics. You got to bring it back to the to the vintage mime. But, ultimately, if I had it my way, I would stick you in a theater where it's completely silent. I had complete control of the lighting and the costumes and everything that I'm mediating outward towards you to either interact with you, involve you, engage you, whatever I need. But on the street, I can't do real mime. Mime can be very abstract because I'm trying to explain a word like jealousy through my body, which most humans tend to not just feel one emotion, but I don't know, have you ever been angry, upset, happy, and pissed all at the same time? Yes, no, maybe so.
I'm trying to think of a moment.
Or just even like happiness, like you're so happy that you're crying, and then you're confused because you're crying but you're happy. And how do you explain that in one word through your body rather than just doing it? You have to physically show that, whereas sometimes you don't have the words to describe what you're feeling.
Yeah, that's the power of the nonverbal communication, is you can express things that there just aren't words for.
Yeah, but then figuring out those expressions, that's the hard part.
Well, let's talk a bit about your journey after this. You've had a lot of success in your performance art. You've appeared on a Xfactor, on America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that journey and just that process of going on AGT.
Yeah. Well, America's Got Talent was this past 2012, and I auditioned in the springtime. And it was just, I'm trying to get what I do out there. It's hard to, fund what I do, especially on an art form that's almost dead. It's not really pantomime anymore. It's mime with a different medium, mime and
Right.
dance. And I was all excited because the year before, the Japanese man was dancing and miming and stuff, and I was like, oh, I can go on and do mime, and that would be great. And they'll love it. I love it. So it'll be perfect. And I go in, and it's a really long process. And that's the thing I wish more people would see is the behind-the-scene action. You know,
Right.
I was in line and waiting for almost 7 hours before I even got to my audition.
You were in line for 7
Well,
hours?
I mean, they have you inside, so you stand outside for maybe an hour or two, and then they bring you into the room, and it's just pretty much a big waiting room where you have jugglers, you have dance teams, you have opera singers, you have ballet people and acrobats and flippers and cheerleaders and all this stuff. So it's really cool to be in that environment because everyone's being artistic or skillful in whatever they love to do. And it's cool to see that stuff. But yeah, for 7 hours I was waiting to get on stage. And during that time, you know, they do their interviews. They interview other people. They watch performances, people warming up and practicing. And, you know, they'll sit with you for a good 2 hours and just kind of do what we're doing, an interview, a talk back, and bits and pieces that they like as the producer. They'll say, let's re-talk about that. Let's try and make it a little more simple so that you're not fumbling your words. You know, they'll help you. But that's the process that a lot of people don't see. And, you know, then I go on stage and there's like a 90-second limit that I have to show what I got. And, you know, that's hard. Backstage with everybody and even out on the street, I can sit and take the time for people who want to listen and understand what mime really is and what I do with it, and then they understand. But on a show like that, I wasn't able to go out on stage and talk for 2.5 hours about
Right.
the whole history of how mime developed and why it changed, and then how David Bowie started singing with it.
Right. No. On America's Got Talent, they want to get you inside of a box that they can then put on a headline and market. So you became the singing mime.
I know, and I did. I because I did the singing mime for Xfactor the year before, and I had the reaction, that reaction, and mostly you don't repeat something that you know doesn't work. So when I went to America's Got Talent, I said, look, this is a performance piece. My ultimate goal is to have a theater company that uses music, uses costumes, uses stage performance, uses theatrics, comedy, whatever we want to tell a story. And right now my story is of Aneya Marie, this singing mime that's trying to find her reasoning of talking. The reason why. Does she wake up in the morning and stub her toe? Is that why she talks? Does she date a guy and he breaks her heart? Is that why she sings the sad ballad love song? You know? But, you know, it's a process. I'm trying to still figure that out. And I can't also go in front of the judges and sit there and say my life dreams.
Right.
Although I would stand on stage and give a full lecture to that audience, and then I bet they would totally get it after. But in front of 4,000 people, that's hard to keep the attention of people who are so far away from me. Even though my body is imaging and projecting outward, 4,000 people is a lot of people to project to, and just stands. I'm sure there was like 300 rows or something in that stadium that I was in.
Right.
But well, it was a theater really. But yeah, and if they can't see my body, they don't know what I'm doing. So then they rely on the voice. You know, if they can't hear my voice, you rely on the movement. And that's the great thing about mime, is that you can connect the body with the voice and have it be a larger power or a larger projection. But 4,000 people, you got to try and get their attention right away. Other than that, one boo goes, and then they all boo.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like a domino effect. And with mime, you can't be loud. You have to be silent. You have to be focused on the person and taking in all mediums, whether it's light and mime, sound and mime, just mime. You have to be focused on that. And I don't know. I chose an old song, kind of. I chose
White Rabbit.
White Rabbit. I love Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah.
And I thought, my mom was all about it. She was like, yeah, I'm a hippie. I'll smoke a doobie while I watch that. And I was like, okay. But after my afterism of the whole experience, I really thought, I was like, I wonder what the audience really had. They probably had children from ages 8 or 9 up to 23, and then maybe a 35 to like 46, But probably the most age demographic that was sitting in there was under 25, maybe. I'm sure. So maybe that didn't connect with them either. I don't know.
Well, what do you say? I've got the video here. Why don't we do a little play-by-play? America's Got Talent.
Okay. Memory lane.
We're going to take
down
a
on it.
stroll down memory lane right now. Okay, let's see.
We're ready for some more auditions. Can I please get numbers 2,000?
Of course they chose French music.
Right.
It's not French, people. It's Greek.
Hi, I'm Aneya Marie. I'm from Buffalo, New York, and I'm a mime. Currently, I'm there teaching a mime class at the University of Buffalo.
Your socks are fabulous.
Who is this guy, by the way? Can we?
Yeah, that guy was an Elton John impersonator.
Okay.
And that was his act. He was going out to impersonate Elton John. But they just, in that room, they threw all the artists together, and the ones that they wanted in front of the camera, they kind of paired us together, and they would just say, interact. Find out about each other, talk to each other,
Okay.
Speak about your art and what you do in your dreams and things.
That's what I was trying to figure out. Is the Elton John guy part of the show? He's got this fantastic Union Jack coat and everything.
I was hoping he had a British accent too, because all the people on America's Got Talent, all the producers, most of them had British accents because it was originally a
British show, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh man.
Okay, so here's Aneya interacting with Elton John.
Yes, I definitely would.
Mime is a universal language. It's a language of gesture. I speak non-verbally. My very last mime performance, I was booed by 4,500 people.
We'll get to that.
The next day, I left for Europe, and I was able to be amongst people who all applauded me when I performed the same exact piece on stage in front of them, over 150 people of my intelligence and higher.
Higher.
And they loved it.
All high.
Out of all the judges, I rated
I
In
love
my
that
defense on that, though. In my defense on that.
Okay, go ahead, defend yourself.
That was the one thing that I messed up when I was speaking. I'm usually a very good public speaker, and I've been sitting in front of the camera for almost like an hour talking about the same thing with these guys. And
they're just waiting. They're just waiting.
I just stumbled on this one sentence structure because I speak many different languages, and America is very backwards and puts their subjects in the wrong spot. So, you know what? But also,
it's just like-minded folks, what you're getting at.
Yeah.
People who would appreciate the art.
And they understood. And I didn't care that it was 150 people, but it was 150 people that just was silent and took it in.
Right.
And gave me the attention. These people didn't want the attention. And, they've been sitting through how many auditions. Right now, this was filmed earlier in the day. At the end of the day, I didn't hit the stage until like 5:30 p.m. and I was there at 7 a.m. in the morning. So I was exhausted just by that.
Yeah, you get out on stage, you're already exhausted, just drained from all day of talking to Elton John.
Well, talking to Elton John and geez.
Mind, and I'm hoping to get some really good feedback.
Go get him.
Okay, so here you are going out on stage.
Nick Cannon was a clown too. He should have appreciated this.
Hello.
Howie Mandel looks skeptical right from the start, I've got to say.
I'm a singing mime.
Oh.
It's a paradox, I know, but I'm a rule breaker. I studied it for 3 years under the greats. The professor that I trained with was a student of Marcel Marceau.
I'm interested in this. I love what you're doing. You're a rule breaker.
Yeah.
Okay,
right to the edge.
one word on this.
Okay.
He said this after 3.5 minutes of insulting me in front of the crowd.
Really?
Yeah, he insulted me for 3.5 minutes before he turned and said, you know what, I'm going to give you a chance.
Oh.
So I was already pissed.
They had the crowd ready to boo you as soon as you started.
I don't even know, man.
This was over before it began. Howie.
Howie.
So Howie,
What did
Howard
you
Stern
say?
looks excited. He looks like he's, interested. He wants to see what's going on.
Yeah. I think
Go get her.
Well, go get him.
Okay, well, here we go.
Already. That's another thing about
Yes,
America's Got Talent.
They've got the buzzers.
The editing, man. He hit me before my music went on.
Okay, so you're performing. Howie Mandel immediately on the buzzer.
But that was wrong. He actually hit it before. They edited that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He hit it before my music came on. I had a 4-second pause.
They really gave you no chance.
No.
Howard Stern is trying to get Heidi Klum to buzz you. Heidi Klum cannot hear your performance over the booing.
Which was so... It's a shame. Because some people do want to hear and listen, and then other people don't give them that chance.
Finally, she hits it, but you look unaffected.
Everyone was booing so loud.
Wait. There's nothing wrong with not being able to hear the mime.
Oh.
Wrong. You hear non-verbally.
What?
I'm brilliant.
You're brilliant.
You're brilliant.
It's very hard, and I took a lot of work to this. You guys went even. You went even. Give me.
Oh, the bluebirds.
They don't want to be told the truth. I said you didn't give me a chance.
Me before you even tried or listened. I was trying to listen, but they were booing so loud.
Listen, I respect.
Hey, I believe that the audience is smarter than they really are, and they don't understand.
I don't know if they took that the right way.
No, that was a compliment, people.
It was a compliment.
I believe in you. I believe that you can understand the complexity of my work.
Right.
See, that's the thing. In
People are just like, what'd she say? We're smart? No, we're not.
Yeah, they did pause for a second.
Well, I'm European.
Yes.
Oh, I just didn't like it.
Oh,
Womp
bad
womp.
bummer.
Womp womp. No, I did feel bad for Heidi though, because she was ready to listen and give me the attention that really that this art form needs. And unfortunately, if somebody is in the audience and they're sneezing or they're looking at their phone, they're taking that attention away from the art, away from the work. And I don't know. It's unfortunate because some people come to see stuff, see work, and do work.
Sure.
And do the things that they need to do.
I think that it's part of this. It's part of the show. It's part of what they do. Is they want to have people come out that are just doesn't matter what you're doing or how good you are at it. They're going to prime the audience to just start booing you immediately. I think you got set up. It was a bit of an ambush.
Yeah, but I knew it going in. The minute that they said they wanted me to announce myself as the singing mime, I already knew it. It failed once on Xfactor. So for me, it was like, now I just need to get on so people see me. I got 90,000 hits on that video.
Mm-hmm.
And from
it's over
that,
100 now.
Yeah, from that, my YouTube subscriber list went up by over 1,000 people, and I'm sure it's still going up daily. And it was just the exposure that I needed, and I understand my work. So I don't care if anybody else understands it. I'm not worried if you understand it. I want to know whether you misunderstand it.
Right,
and then
right.
I can go back and fix it. So this was a misunderstanding. And it's hard being a mime. I need a full company. If I had a full company with back dancers and sound and lighting and costumes, things
Right.
that I all do by myself, but because I'm by myself, it takes 5.5 months or 6 or 10 or 15.
And the comments on the video really run the gamut.
They're mean. They're mean.
Not all of them. So
They're
there's
shit.
like one says, "Well, I'm in love. She's so pretty."
Aww.
And then the next comment, French are really rude. The French?
Yes. Oh, I love people's reactions when I tell them I'm a mime. They say, "What's your occupation?" "I'm a mime." Shut up. Well, I mean, yeah, that's the point, I guess. Or they'll be like, "You're a mime? Does that mean you're deaf?" And they'll ask that question. I'm dead serious. They will ask that question after I've been communicating with them non-verbally back and forth for 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And then they'll see and be like, "You're deaf, right?" No, man. I'm
a
not
risk
French.
taker and a go-getter. I think she forgot to say drug taker. No, I give you credit because you know you
Fine
really
time.
you put yourself out there. you did your art for all these people, and don't worry about the haters. There's tons of them out there.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny to go through and read it, but that's kind of stuff that people think that they need to put out there for you.
Yeah, and it's cool to get feedback. I'm trying to find an audience. That's really why I went onto a huge show like that.
Right.
I need to actually find. I don't know America. I've been on tour to Europe. This coming up, going 4 times. I've been 3 already. I'm leaving this year, mostly probably for a while again, because I'm crazy like that.
Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit. I mean, fresh off that, I mean, you mentioned in the America's Got Talent video that you went and played in Europe. You did the same act for 150 people shortly after that, and they loved it. Tell us a little bit about touring Europe and just that whole process.
Yeah. Well, when the first time I tried out for a huge show like that, I guess a national show is where I would put it on.
Mm-hmm.
But it was for Xfactor, and the day of the audition, it was June 28th, and my mom lives in Albany, New York, and I drove down to Providence, Rhode Island. So I drove to Providence, Rhode Island, stood in line for 4.5 hours, stood inside for 3.5 hours, and then hit the stage. They said no, and literally I went home. That night I was packed, and I left for Europe. I was actually in a traveling theater company at the time. We did a production entitled Talk to Me, and it was an adaptation of a classic playwright, Tennessee Williams, his production of Talk to Me Like the Rain and Let Me Listen. But we adapted it, lengthened it, into a 45-minute production, and we were accepted into multiple different international theater festivals. So I went with a company of 10 people, which included my directors and myself. Mm-hmm. And we went to Minsk, Belarus. I flew in a little early, saw a little bit of Amsterdam and Copenhagen, because I'm in Europe. Oh. And then I flew into Belarus, and we performed in front of, I think it was like 10 different nationalities. China was there, Germany was there, France was there, Belarusia, many Belarusians, Russian troops, and Jordan, Lithuanians, just all these awesome, cool people, and we got to see all these different plays. I saw a Chinese musical, I saw a French comedy, I saw a German drama, which was really cool. I didn't understand a lot, but I do speak French. But for Russian and things like that, I really couldn't understand. But, these theater festivals are weeks long. The one we went to was a week long, and we were able to take lecture courses, workshop classes. So I took a body movement workshop.
Oh, nice.
It was the Suzuki method, which is a Japanese method of movement. So that was kind of interesting.
I'm familiar with the Suzuki. I did the Suzuki for cello.
Yeah, awesome. It's such an interesting art form. And it was cool to see performed live, too. So that was even another aspect, because here at UB, we have a lot of access to many different things and some really good connections, but you don't see it all. So these festivals were great because you can go and you can learn about different cultures. You mingle, you go out, you party. The next day you perform arts. It was a competition. We didn't win. The Lithuanian troupe won, but other than that, I was there for a week just doing all this theater stuff and performance workshops and performing myself. And then we left. I went back into Lithuania, and we stopped in Copenhagen. I finished off in Amsterdam. I did a ton of street performance there. Copenhagen, actually, on my YouTube channel, you can see me juggling fire with a unicyclist.
Very cool.
Yeah, and that was so great about Europe, too, is the street performance was so open. So you could go into an act and really play off of them. They will improv with you. Where I find here, it's like, oh, everyone's for themselves. I'm just trying to make money. It's like, no, it's not about that. It's about the interaction.
Absolutely.
It's about the feelings that you make people feel. It's about being able to move them so much that they change their perspective on the world. And then change the world, hopefully, for the better,
Noah in the Morning. We're live here, all Western New York radio. We're going to take a short break and listen to some tunes from Breckenwood. We've had Breckenwood going on in the background all day today. It's time to put them in the foreground. Yeah. This song is called Crazy. We'll be back with Aneya Marie and Thomas Loop with sports just momentarily. It's Noah in the morning.
Late night, getting pretty used to all of these. Next thing, that's fine, making on my mind as it comes to me. Somewhere, you're out everywhere that I could never be. I scream, I shout, but only in my head where I am free. Yeah, I hope you are feeling all the same that I had in mind. So close, so far, all I gotta show is passing by. You got too much for me to just look away. Just look, but don't touch, 'cause there's so much that's in the way. I'm torn in two over me and you and both, but I feel so light, I can't explain what I feel this way, and I have to be strong. I'm torn in two over me and you and your soul, but I feel so light. There's nothing I can say to make you feel this way, and I can't stay too long. This is crazy. Oh, it's crazy. Too much, too soon, thinking all about you all the while. Stop stuff, I can't lose it every time I see your smile. There's no way I'm walking up and down the line so definitely. Now stop, think about just what it can be and what you need from me. Yeah. I'm torn in two over me and you and it's wrong, but I feel so light, I can't explain what I feel this way, and I have to be strong. I'm torn in two over me and you and it's wrong, but I feel so light. There's nothing I can say to make you feel this way, and I can't stay too long. Tell me the things that I want to hear, then I'll tell you that I want you near. We're all right in the morning light, but what'll happen tonight? I'm torn in two over me and you and it's wrong, but I feel so right, I can't believe I feel the way, I have to be strong. I'm torn in two over me and you and it's wrong, but I feel so right, I can't believe I feel the way, and I have to be strong. I'm torn in two over me and you and it's wrong, but I feel so right. There's nothing I can say to make you feel the way, and I can't stay too long. Oh, it's crazy.
It's Noah in the morning, allwesternnewyorkradio.com. That was Breckenwood, the song Crazy. We've got so much to get to in the rest of the show today. We're going to talk Best of Buffalo, Art Voice, now out. We're going to talk Macklemore a little bit, if we can. He's a horrible person out there doing horrible things. But first, let's get Mr. Thomas Loop on the phone, if we may. Mr. Tommy Loop, our sports and life correspondent in Niagara Falls. Tommy Loop, are you out there, my friend? We need you. We may have lost Tommy Loop. What do you think, Aneya?
Oh, no.
We could leave him a voicemail. Do you want to leave him a voicemail?
I will leave him a voicemail.
Okay, fantastic.
Can the mimes leave a voicemail?
Absolutely.
What if it's just silent? Do you think he'll get it?
Call back and say, why do I have a voicemail? It's 4.5 minutes of silence. Like, oh, it's not silence.
Look at the YouTube recording. Be all nonverbal.
Tommy Loop.
Hi there.
Hello, my friend.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning to all.
Welcome. We're here with Aneya Marie, live in studio.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Buona mattina.
Tommy, how are you, sir? How's life up north there?
What's that, sir?
How's life up north there?
Not bad. Probably about the same, slightly south of here, south and east of here.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice morning, fresh cut grass, and me getting high off the pesticide. It's really cool.
Ooh. What do the pesticides do to you? Do you see things? Are there visuals involved?
Well, fortunately, we live in a homeowners association area where it's done for us. I think I retired from lawn work in about 1996, and I just get so sick of it, because I did it every day for years. And yeah, what they do is they put a solution pellet type thing before they make the first cut of grass of the season, and then the kids really enjoy it, and I'm being totally sarcastic because they don't get to play for 24 full hours, which is like 24 days to a kid. So
right.
So that once that happens, hey, you can hear one now. Awesome. And you can you gotta wait until it soaks in, and then they go on for the first cut. And
or you don't wait. You pop a couple of those pellets, and then you're at the beach. You just start seeing crazy shit.
That's right,
or
man.
Die.
Tommy, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Art Voice Best of Buffalo winners now announced.
Yeah.
Did you see the winners?
I have not yet. I have not, and I knew of some nominees, but I haven't looked at any winners. But I'd be glad to hear what they are.
I wanted to give a shout out to some of our all Western New York radio alum who are out there. Whiskey Reverb won for Best Original Music Act, of course. Great stuff from those guys. Best Rock Act, Super Killer Robots. Former host of the Candyland Countdown, Jim Candytree, Best Male Vocalist.
He's a class act. I don't say that because we're friends with him, and it's just, it can't happen to a nicer guy. He goes out of his way for people and all that, and he's really talented, and and it's what's cool is, obviously we both know, or we all know, that he's in both bands, which is, it's like a pleasant monopoly of sorts, I guess.
Sure. And I'm from the government, and I'm here to help now also.
Yeah, wow, he tripled, huh?
And, Jim's been a part of All Western New York Radio for a long time. I think Whiskey Reverb is one of those bands that formed as a result of All Western New York Radio. AJ and Jim met back in the day doing All Western New York Radio stuff, back in the Scott Leffler era. And we had Jim on the show one time. This is before Jim was Jim Candytree. This is back when he was in Summer Rain Revolution, right? And back then he went by Azim. Check out this. I have this promo.
Hey guys, this is Azim Izai from Summer Rain Revolution, and you're listening to All West New York Radio.
That's a vintage Candytree right there.
Oh. It's taken it back several years.
That is, man. I played shows with Summer Rain Revolution at Merlin's back in the day. Oh. Good God.
Merlin's on Bidwell and Elmwood.
Yes, now the Blue Monk.
Yeah. Cool spot.
Let's see. Best Acoustic Act, The Leftovers won. Best Blues Act, The Poor Boys. Joanne Folletta for Best Classical Musician. Best Country Act, West of the Mark. Best Female Vocalist, Melody Nardone. A lot of great stuff in here, and I definitely encourage you to go to Art Voice and check it out because it's not only music. There's venues, there are stores, shops, services, people, places, dining, nightlife, everything. There's just a huge, enormous list. Mezza won for Best Middle Eastern. I love that place. Amy's Place for Best Pancakes. I love Amy's Place. I might go there after this.
Food.
And vegan. That's right.
So yummy.
Does Prince make you pancakes? Does he make you pancakes? I don't know if you remember the Chappelle show.
Then he took us all inside and made us pancakes.
And he made us pancakes. Shirts versus blouses.
That's right. Tommy, I know we normally talk sports, but what's going on in sports these days? Do we have anything that we can talk about? It's a quiet season.
Going back though, there's a backstory. My cousin, Dan Slayman, was a drummer of the Poor Boys about a decade ago.
Oh, really?
And I've seen him several times. I believe Fritz was singing for him. The great rockabilly band. I mean, they were deserving of that award years ago.
Right.
A very tight sounding band. There's a stand-up bass player, guitarist. Fritz was a singer. My cousin was a drummer. I've seen him many times along the Allentown and the Franklin Street areas, and that. Kudos to them. Congratulations. It was a long time coming. Long time coming for them.
Sure.
But yeah, going back to sports, the stadium thing's coming up again, man. I mean, when you and I first discussed the committee thing, you know my take on the committee, 21 persons. Now the latest
too many chefs spoiled the stew.
Wheatfield. Oh, man, Wheatfield, this old Summit Park Mall area, is now the latest one being brought up in the press.
Oh, really? The old Summit Park, that's an interesting suggestion. I mean, I guess you could still do the tailgating out there. It could still be an atmosphere very much like Orchard Park. But, wow, I hadn't heard that one before. That's a new one, Tommy. What do you think about that?
It's not going to happen. That's what I know of, and, just another form of someone has to be right in reporting, and someone else, whoever leaked it, because all this gets leaked, because that's the only way the word gets out about stadium.
Oh, that's how they find out what they want to go after.
Yeah, it's just, when's this going to end, man? You and I were saying they have to break ground now.
Right.
And, and exactly, this is going exactly as planned, and not for good, for any good reason at all. I mean, here we are, a few months after the fact, and bless you, and no one's done anything. You're going to hear this thing fly around the room of 21 people. It should be 10, and they're going to argue over something because what's in it for me. And then they're going to squash that idea because they don't like the other guy on the committee who presented that, and they want, that guy's going to benefit from it. And this is going to go on for 2 to 3 years before they even try to present any.
Right. The whole political discourse there is really taking center stage, which is unfortunate because as we've said and as you said before, we need to be breaking ground on this. But I think, with Ralph Wilson's passing, it's just not going to happen. They're going to have to wait now for ownership to change, for the team to be sold before they can even think about starting to break ground anywhere. And
the most accurate source. And, this makes a lot of sense, too. It brought up Tom Golisano as an owner.
Mm-hmm.
That would be ideal. That would be it. They won't go anywhere for a long time. But going back to what you were saying, I'm sorry about interrupting.
Well, all I'm saying is that I think the timing of it makes it very, very tricky. I think that with the new ownership coming in, they're going to want to have a big stake in this new stadium. And we're probably years away from new ownership. So, it's a process that hopefully that new owner can get behind aggressively and make happen. And you're right, I've heard conversation of the Buffalo Waterfront, I've heard Batavia and Niagara Falls, and now this Summer Park Mall thing, and it really, they're just trying to throw anything they can at the wall and see what sticks. And that's why this stuff continues to be leaked and brought out to the public, because it's like, what'll people get behind, That's what they really need.
Why don't they just report that it's going to be built in the Alabama swamps?
It's going to Alabama.
It's ridiculous. Oakfield, Alabama. I mean, come on. Cut the crap. I mean, it's just all the more confirming that, it's just people aren't that dumb out there. You know, I mean, when are they going to get sick of it after? I mean, and we're going to still see months and months of this game, you know, until the July period comes around when the owner, you know, the team's up for sale and whoever gets into place. You know, I really do hope that it's suppressed from the public, whoever the new owner is going to be. And I'm hoping that it's a homegrown owner. And that's our best case scenario. For this
Certainly, there's a lot of interest. There are a lot of homegrown folks who've said they would get behind it. And I think that, you know, that the majority of people who have said anything about it have said they would keep the team here. Of course, nobody's going to come out of the woodwork right now, a potential owner, and say, yeah, I'm going to buy the team and I'm going to move them, because they'd get buried. Oh, yeah. So it's not going to happen. Everybody's coming out saying, oh, yeah, we're going to keep them there. We'll keep them there.
Riots.
Yeah, right. There would be riots. If Donald Trump came out and he said, I'm going to move the team to L.A., the people of Western New York would have already lynched the man.
Yeah. Yep. And here's the other thing.
Everybody's saying the right things. Everybody will continue to say the right things until there is new ownership and the whole stadium issue becomes a more serious problem.
Yeah, it's like punching a person in the face and then running after and saying, don't hit me back. So,
Tommy, I know you're a huge Macklemore fan. You're a big hip-hop fan, right? And as we have Aneya here in studio, she's a performance artist. I thought I'd get both of your thoughts on this Macklemore story.
Yes.
Macklemore, a rapper, he's now apologized and making headlines because apparently at a recent show he dressed up in this Jewish costume, okay?
Yeah.
Black wig, beard, hooked nose kind of thing, and went out to kind of watch the show in this costume and then performed in Seattle. People have said this is anti-Semitic. But he just randomly chose these pieces of the costume. It was not a coordinated effort to look like a Jewish man. I just wanted to disguise myself. But he looks very much like the caricature of a Jewish man, like not in a flattering way. You know, a very, very anti-Semitic kind of way.
Like upside down menorahs or something?
Yeah, well, just like he's got the big beard with the crazy hair coming off the side and the big nose and everything like that. I mean, he looks like a Hasidic Jewish man in New York City or something. but a caricature, you know, not in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Aneya? You sometimes have to push the envelope as a performer, right?
And you know, the fact that he came out and said that it was random, you know, obviously it might have been harmless, but John Mayer does that all the time. He'll dress up as like a bear, a huge bear or something, and go out into the parking lots while everyone is tailgating before the show, and he'll just interact with people, and they have no idea that it's John Mayer. And how come nobody freaks out and says, oh, bear rights, why are you mimicking a bear? It's anti-bear and grizzly or something. I don't know.
PETA's not coming after John Mayer.
Yeah, they're not coming out and saying, you are misinterpreting that being.
Right, Smokey the Bear is not coming out of the woodwork saying, you are corrupting my message.
How dare you use a match?
Yeah. And so I really don't think he should apologize, especially if it was something that he stated as it being random. For me, you know, I do a lot of very abrasive things sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll do a lot of body paint and scar work to make a point. You know, maybe I get killed in my mime scene by a mime knife or something, and I sometimes do makeup that's very vulgar and things like that, and it will push the limit. Or I'll be naked on stage, or I'll be painted naked on stage, or, you know, you kind of... Art is really meant, actually, to make the comfortable feel uncomfortable and the uncomfortable to feel comfortable.
Right.
So the fact that people just uproared about it, you know, he's in the light right now. It's kind of like the Miley Cyrus thing. She comes out in a bear costume that's high. You know, they freak out about it for 10 months.
Miley Cyrus is in a whole category of her own.
I know.
I mean, I saw this slideshow of pictures from a recent concert that she did, and I had to see it just because it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
She has like a little person that
The midget.
I don't know how to say it besides she sexually assaults this midget throughout the show. She rides a giant inflatable penis.
Yeah.
It does all this really graphic kind of sexual stuff.
Yeah.
That I think for her, people are just like, yeah, we get it.
We're done.
It's not shocking.
That's an overstatement now. Now you're just using hyperboles
Yes,
for too many.
Now it's just weird. We're all trying to figure out what you're trying to say with the midget and the sex acts and whatnot.
So that's really, if he's going to make a bold choice and dress up and pull something like that, as an artist, you need to know all aspects of it. And the reason why, you can't just come out and say it was random, because then people are like, well, if it's random, this is what it looks like, and it projects something, and you randomly did it for no reason at all, and now a lot of people are mad. Because you projected it and don't have a reason for it.
Yeah, own it. Own it if you're going to project
and
it.
then you just back off. So for me, the fact that he did it isn't really an issue for me. I would have accepted it. I accept a lot of things.
But it's the response.
And maybe that's the pressure, too, of being in that light, being so high up on that food chain that you really, you have to please your audience. And unfortunately, the audience isn't specific art goers or outgoing people. Many are introverted. Music is more of a milder form for people to celebrate through. If you're not movement people.
Macklemore does a lot of charity work. He
a bad person.
That's definitely part of his audience, is doing things that are for the greater good. He said in his statement, quote, "I respect all cultures and all people. I would never intentionally put down anybody for the fabric that makes them who they are. I love human beings, love originality, and happen to love a weird outfit from time to time."
And I love how people instill their own opinions on, an action that's been performed or created. He never physically said anything. He just showed up looking like something, and they judge. Most of our society right now judges people by your looks. And
absolutely.
That's a reflection on them being angry that, that's your judgment on what he chose to wear. I could go out and be dressed as a nun, and I might not be a nun, but people would already have a whole predetermined, I guess, list of things that they label me as if I were to walk on the street like that.
Well, like we were talking earlier,
I know that.
Some of the old convents back in the day, there were just baby graves in the back,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
So to be a nun, maybe not all it's cracked up to be.
Some of the old nunneries got reconstructed and things like that, and when they were digging up the backyards, they found a lot of makeshift graveyards that were just a lot of babies.
Oh,
unfortunately.
Not good. Not good.
Womp womp. They're resting with the devil now.
Oh, that's sad.
But yeah, I think Macklemore, he's on the right. He's good at heart. I didn't even hear about this until right now, so for me, it's not a huge life-defining thing. He's not going out and trying to Aryan race everybody.
Right.
So
right.
I think we're on a good.
He's not out there pushing like genomics.
Yeah.
You're on the arch.
Oh, man.
Perfect fit. Perfect fit for the arch.
But especially, I think, when people judge, though, and they say they have an issue with an outfit or clothing like that, that's an own reflection of your own insecurities and judgments, whether they're issues that surround you or issues that you carry with yourself. So that's
a you problem.
Yeah.
That's not a Macklemore problem.
Yeah, and
that's a you problem.
Artists are always under attack like that. And so being a performance artist, I want the public to know and to really understand that you got to be careful. You need to think before you speak. Literally,
right.
Really. And that's why, the mimes don't speak. It's not the incapability of speaking. It's the fact that I have the capability to say it in so many other ways that I don't need to dumb it down for you with my voice and give you a specific word. You should be able to understand it. So,
Tommy Lou?
Noah, she needs an
yeah.
Mime 5.
Mime 5. I guess I shouldn't make the sound.
Nope, you're allowed to because we don't touch. So they still need to hear the
That's
the
right.
clap.
That's right. So
we're illusionists, remember? Or however. Yeah, magic's in the distance in Mime.
Oh, good stuff. Tommy Luke, good talking to you, my friend.
Oh, no, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Noah, Chris Angel Goki.
Chris Angel Goki?
Noah, Chris Angel Goki.
I'm working on it. I'm always thinking of new ways to incorporate new performance.
Yeah.
We're going to get Aneya performing on stage with us.
Oh, totally. I love it.
We're growing the size of the skulls all the time, so we need some backup dancers.
Of course.
But even better would be a backup singing mime.
Backup singing Mime.
Yep. You're in.
Who dances and stilt walks and paints faces and does body work.
That's right.
And blows your mind.
Blows your effing mind, people.
Boom.
Boom.
Goes the dynamite.
Tommy Loop, good talking to you, my friend.
You too.
Until next time.
With you all.
We'll talk to you Thursday?
Yes. Sure,
Okay.
I'll be ready to go.
All right, my friend.
All right, buddy.
Take care. Tommy Loop, thank you so much for joining us. We're already in overtime here now, but I wanted to talk about the Charles Dickens thing.
Oh yeah.
I keep forgetting to bring this up. You've got to elaborate on this at great length.
Indubitably.
You mentioned that you were a descendant of Charles Dickens.
I am.
Dickens.
He is in my family tree. My great-grandmother was Monica Dickens, and she's the great-granddaughter of Charles Dickens.
Okay.
Yep. He had 13 children. You know, died of syphilis, was a busy man. So that's not how we're in relation, but...
A couple nun babies might have been his.
Yeah, right. Well, he was the rock star of his time.
Right.
Charles Dickens was not only famous for his journalism in the paper and his novels, actually it was the novels that he wrote in the paper, but he was famous for going to theaters and selling out and reading his books. That's what he would do. He would sell out a theater and just read his book to the audience the whole time, however long it took to get through.
That's pretty incredible. I mean, to the modern mind, it's like an Andy Kaufman sketch.
And that's what, a lot of things that I really read about Charles Dickens. He was very charismatic, very verbal, very large in his movements. He had a great regard. Then in Mime, the regard is the foresight. He would imagine the audience as the imagery around him, and people would pick that up off of his facial expressions, body expressions. Because really, he didn't have a set on stage. He would have a podium, or maybe a chair, or a couch, or rocking chair, or just like a coat hanger, and he would work around it. And he studied mime. He actually edited the memoirs of Joseph Grimaldi, who was an English pantomime artist, and he was famous for integrating clownism in mime. Just different mediums, but he wrote a whole dissertation paper of his life, a memoir type thing, and Dickens was the editor of that book. And after he wrote in his own books stating, I really wish I got more into mime, but now my life, I'm however old, 54 I think, and I'm towards the end and it's too much for me, but yeah,
interesting. So the performance art is in your DNA.
I didn't even know about this until the second year I was taking mime, because I took mime the second year after I fell in love with it, because I wanted to know the history. I wanted to know, why is it that we do the things that we do as a mime?
Sure.
Why am I silent? Why do I have to sit here being born in America, where we're the loudest people, thinking that freedom of speech is right, and then they all tell me I can't talk as a mime? Get back in your box. That's what they say. Right. I can't. I want to be like Jack. I always pop out, but then they put me back in. But yeah, he did performance and writing, and really did multiple different mediums, which most artists do. I'm a stilt walker as well. I'm a pianist. I play djembe and ukulele at times, the accordion when I'm feeling audacious.
Nice.
And when I found out about it, it was just the coolest thing, and I just knew right then, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. I already know it. I'm going to be able to explore that medium that Charles really never got a chance to. He enjoyed it as an audience member, but never physically acted upon it, never really, did his own exploration of the actual art form. But yeah, it was super sweet. 13 kids. The 6th child was Henry Charles Dickens. He had Henry Charles Dickens Jr., who then had my great-grandmother, Monica Dickens.
Wow.
Yeah. Small world, right?
Right. So it's in your blood.
I guess.
I love it.
I guess. I don't know. I just think it's more in my soul, you know. It's one of those things that's calling me, and I always tend to tell people I'm an explorer and just overly curious. I love to do a lot of exploration, whether it's with my own body, with a space, with an inanimate object or an animate object. It's something that, you know, I like to at least see the possibilities of, and then maybe make it possible.
Aneya Marie, I can't thank you enough for coming in today.
I appreciate that.
It's just been great talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anytime. My pleasure. Mime pleasure. Mime pleasure.
I love it.
The mime puns. Oh, man, don't get me started on them.
Where can the people find out more about you and your art and your upcoming European tour schedule?
Yeah. So I have my own blog. You can find that up on Facebook. My Facebook page is Aneya Marie. It's my personal page, but everything that I have to links and videos and YouTube, it's all connected to that and on that site.
Very cool.
So you can definitely check out performance art pieces. You can check out my European blog. I have it from my first travel into Europe all the way. I'll continue it into my fourth. And it's really kind of fun. There's a lot of street performance that I have up there. There's a lot of different plays that I saw, like the Chinese plays and different workshops. And really you can get a good insight of the artistic things that are going on in the world, at least Eastern Europe and Western Europe currently right now. So within the last year or two, yeah.
Well, just great stuff. I can't thank you enough for coming in. Maybe we can, I'll play our theme as we go out. Could you give us a little performance dance interpretation of the theme?
The theme, okay.
It's a techno theme song written by the controversial, the controversial Jean Ben wrote this tune. Yep. She's getting geared up.
I gotta work robotics, so maybe I'll try that.
Okay, all right, I like it. Aneya Marie. Find out more on Facebook. Check out some of her stuff on YouTube.
Oh, it's A-N-E-Y-A.
A-N-E-Y-A. Marie.
M-A-R-I-E.
That's right. Very cool. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, is there words in it? Or?
Just Noah in the morning. That's just a computer voice repeats Noah over and over again. Noah, Noah. Okay, Noah in the morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Till next time, good luck and have fun, peoples.
It's a morning. Success allows into you.
Macklemore, man, I hate that crap. Because that's the thing, like, the audience will just burn you, man.